Hey, all you Splinterheads. Welcome back. Bronze Dragon here with another Splinterlands update. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, please think about giving a like and subscribe. With that said, I've got several things to cover because there's lots of things going on within the Splinterverse right now. So obviously the big thing this week is the release of Land 1.5. Okay, so I covered that a couple times the first day, and then 24 hours later, I gave it another day. Now, at this point in time, when I'm filming right now, it's not actually filming, it's recording. It's 72 hours in for me as far as when I staked my land, because I didn't stake it until I was off work. So I want to look at my land, and I also want to go through and replace a couple cards that I had staked on my land. And basically, I have some other cards that, if you'll remember off of my previous video, that I had rented out and not pulled back in time. So I want to cycle them in on a land. So we can take a look at what that looks like if you want to cycle your cards out. This will be the first time for me, so we'll see about it. I got a couple other things though, because Matt has been dropping some information about upcoming changes in the game. I wanted to go ahead and make everybody aware of those. If you didn't happen to see him give the announcement on Discord. But I will give the links in the show notes if you didn't happen to see that, because obviously I can only hit the high points and then you can go through and read the details. Okay, so we'll hit those first, and then we'll look at my land situation. So the first thing I want to note is the Brawl and Frays Rebellion update. Okay, so they're changing Brawls and Frays. The first thing you have to know is that if you see Chaos, it equals Chaos Legion, obviously. If you see AB plus U, that means Alpha, Beta, and Untamed. Okay, so you can go through and you can basically, they're changing things up. They're cycling Untamed out, and basically they redid all the tiers. So depending upon which tier you usually brawl in, you're going to want to take note, because when I've been in guilds that we advanced probably furthermore than we should have, as far as I guess the problem is that when you change tiers, the phrase available change radically, and sometimes you can up level in your guild and then you don't have the proper the people in your guild don't have the proper card sets to fill the phrase, in other words. So I would say go ahead and first of all find out what tier your guild is fighting in, and then come to this link and look at how the phrase are going to change. Okay, so I'm not even going to jump in and try to summarize it because it would take heavy scrutinization. I'm not overall really familiar with the different tiers, just basically what tier I'm usually in. But do know that they have changed things up. And if you are a battler in the Brawls and Frays, you're going to have to go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is some heavy alpha that Matt just dropped today in Discord. If you didn't see it, it was two particular screenshots of all the different materials that are going to be available and producible on land, either in 2.0 or thereafter. Okay, so let's take a look at it, and once again I'll leave the links in the details. So I'm just going to take a quick run through this, and then hopefully this is great discussion fodder. If you happen to like to stop by my live stream on Saturday afternoon at 12 Eastern or 11:30 Eastern time, we've got a lot to talk about this week. So we're looking at grain, wood, stone, iron, aluminum, copper, titanium, mithril. And those are the natural products, and those and other things can be refined into iron bars, aluminum bars, copper bars, titanium bars, mithril bars, pure flakes, Ulana bread, spark meal, storm cakes, soul food, Helios bars. And those look like they are produced from magic lands. Planks, obviously, it kind of looks like it would be produced from wood, quartz, limestone, granite, sandstone, hematite, obsidian. And then the second screenshot was Vertilium, Ulana seeds, Sparkstone, Bottled Storms, Reclaimed Souls, Helios stones, which are definitely marked magical, essences, life essence, earth essence, fire, all the different essences, time crystals, elixir, trifoil shards, research, mana crystals, salt, love that. Desalinization crystals. So you have salt, and then you have a way to get rid of salt. So I'm really interested in what that, how that's going to work into things. Diamond, emerald, ruby, sapphire, onyx, amethyst. All these things we're kind of used to seeing in different games, but it's really cool to actually see the list now. Now, what that has me wondering is how do these align with the different types of land we have now, does this go 2 or 3 deep? In other words, do you have to produce one to get to the next? How deep is this production process going to be? So I just wanted to throw those out there. And once again, I will leave the link, or you can check in the main Discord. I'm looking at where he put it. It's under the official announcements section, and he dropped that today. He also dropped information on the upcoming Land 2.0 white paper. So it was expected, and he announced he was trying to get it out by the end of November. That didn't happen. But what he did was he put an announcement in Discord today saying, hey, they're going to release the white paper in chunks, basically. So that statement is there as well as these screenshots. So I encourage you, if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. Okay, so those are the 2 pieces of kind of news I had. So let's go ahead and jump back over here to land. Once again, I'm going to go up here into production. One note I will have, okay, that I wanted to get out there was pointed out by a few of my subscribers and or video viewers. Thank you very much. I like it when people point out kind of errors that I made so I can correct it. The overall goal here is to spread information and help everybody, and I don't want to spread misinformation. Okay, so the thing that I had talked about was when I went in to stake my land initially, on the first day, I could have, instead of buying grain to harvest that first harvest after 24 hours, which is what I did. Obviously, you could do it every hour if you want, but I did it after every 24 hours. That first day, I went through the process of buying grain to be able to do that harvest. But what some viewers had pointed out was the fact that I could have went ahead and just harvested, and it would have deducted what I needed out of my, what I had produced that day. So what that does is the takeaway there is that if you are starting out and you viewed my video, you don't necessarily have to buy that first day's worth of grain. You can go ahead and just deduct it from, click the harvest button, and it will deduct it from whatever you harvested that day. Now, if you are harvesting in a deficit, in other words, you owe more, you'll have to buy more grain. But, okay. So, with that said, one update is the fact that I bought another plot. Yeah, I know. In Ravenwood 133, I had an excess of grain going on. In other words, I'm producing a decent amount more than what I need, and that's fine with me. But there's 2 ways I could have went with that. I could have kind of maneuvered things around and produced less grain, possibly. But after looking at things and seeing the prices of plots come down a little bit, and I was pretty set with cards. In other words, I only had to buy 1 card to stake out this plot I bought today. I had the rest of the cards, and I was set with DEC, although I'm pretty thin on DEC now. Anyway, I got another plot up and running in Ravenwood to mine SPS, and I'm doing pretty good. So that's the one update I have for today. Now, what I want to go to is I want to go into one of my plots, and I want to swap 2 of the cards. Okay. So as we know, if you make any change to a plot that changes the productivity, it's going to trigger a harvest. So you have to be aware of that, so you don't do it at the wrong time in case you're keeping things timed out. For me, I'm timing them out so I do my harvest every 24 hours, an hour or 2 after I get home from work, and obviously when I've sat down, I can make a video and everything. Whether I need to make a video that or not, I like to have everything timed out. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because when I go in to swap these cards out, obviously it's going to change the productivity on that plot, and it's going to trigger a harvest. So what's going to happen is, instead of just doing my harvest all for 2 different regions, I'm going to have to do that plot, change the cards, and then I'm going to have to still do the harvest on the rest of the region, because that changing the cards on that plot will actually trigger the harvest on that plot. So I've got, instead of just having 2 lines on my spreadsheet for today, I'll have to have 3. So whether these numbers are useful in the future, there'll be something to look at when we get down the road, and we can have some numbers to compare. I just kind of like to, have numbers to look at. Okay, so with that said, let's go in here. This is the plot I'm looking at. It is producing grain. So I have 2 gold foils on it and 3 standard legendary cards maxed out on it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to remove 2 of these and change them around. So let's go ahead and click change. And like I said, this might have issues, because this is the first time I have done this. So let's go ahead and change this to the Pellicore Bandit, and change, we'll change this to the Pellicore Bandit as well. Okay, save changes. So it boosted my per hour by about 25. Okay, got to notice. Changing production on an active plot will automatically trigger a harvest, which is what we just talked about. We strongly advise doing a manual harvest first to avoid losing your totem roll. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so let's cancel out, and let's go back. Let's do a manual harvest like it stated. So let's go back, and let's go ahead and do a harvest on this then. And it's telling me that, let's see here, I can harvest 5,200 grain, and I will be taxed 1,900. Well, not taxed, it's to feed the workers. So let's see how this goes. Cross my fingers that the blockchain's working okay tonight. Okay, so here's my numbers I need. So what I've been doing is I've been taking the overall harvest, 5229.193, subtracting the tax, 522.919, equals 4,706. So that is what my grain harvest after tax is. Okay. So now we can go ahead and go in and manage it, and then change. Change to my Pellicore Bandit. Save changes. Approve. Okay, so things are still a little bit slow. It is a Friday night around here, but the last few days, my guess is that the blockchain has just been getting hit hard and heavy with this new land. And my guess is also that, I don't know, maybe going forward they're going to have to emphasize, change things in a way that, I don't know, people won't want to hit it every hour for every plot. So, but we'll see. I've mentioned this before, but I played other games where claiming whatever the token you're talking about was a main thing, such as mining or something or other. And what happened was the blockchains, and I'm thinking about Wax in particular, they were just getting hit so much that, the traffic was so high that it was affecting the blockchain. It was slower. It was going down like we've seen with Hive. So anyway, that's just rambling. Okay, so we went ahead and we've claimed for this farm, and we've changed the 2 cards on it. Now, the takeaway here is if you're going to change cards, do that manual claim on your plot before you do the change cards. Okay, so that's the one takeaway we had there. So let's go ahead and go back, and I'm going to do a harvest all on this region for myself. So minus that 1 plot, I'm going to go ahead and claim grain for this plot, or this region rather. So once again, 17,393.213 for whatever that's worth, minus the taxes, 1,739.321 equals 15,653. Okay, so we're going down, and I'm just looking at my spreadsheet here. Okay. So let's go back to harvest all, claim research. I'm not going to keep doing this every night, but I thought it would be interesting to some people to see how this land is progressing, especially if you're thinking about buying land. I thought about doing it's been a while since I did a video on, hey, what does land cost? You know, the total cost. I'm not talking about just going in and buying a plot, because as we all know, in most cases, unless you're buying one of the high-end plots, most of the costs around the land plot is whatever, the cards and the staking and everything that goes around it besides just the land, especially if you're just dealing with commons and rares, right? Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. I thought it was a good idea, especially if people are just rolling into the game right now and getting interested in land. We'll see. Okay, so I'm looking at research, 53.955 minus a tax of 5.396 was 48.5. Okay, back once again, harvest my DEC. Or sorry, SPS. I wish I could harvest DEC. Not really. I think with how SPS is going up, we're all crossing our fingers it keeps going up. This is the better token to hold at the time. Let's go ahead. Minus the tax of 1.102 equals 9.22. 9.922. Okay. Now, and that's giving you a rough idea. I have 2 plots in this region harvesting SPS, and 1 plot is only good. One's been going for 12 hours. The other plot's only been 24 hours. 1 plot's been going for 12 hours because I bought it midway through the day. Okay, now one other thing I want to check, because this has been a topic of conversation, is I think it was stated that when you harvest your SPS, it goes to your staked total. Okay, but I wanted to verify that. So what I wanted to do is go to my SPS page and take a screenshot, if it will let me. Okay, I don't know how that's going to show up on the video, but we have my screenshot of my SPS. Let's go back, and we've done the claiming for that region. Let's go over to 114 and do the claim all on this. Okay, once again, 13,466 minus the tax of these taxes. I guess we'll see how it works out, but they just seem overly burdensome. But okay, so I harvested just a little bit over 12,000 grain from this region. Okay, let's go back. Now this region is where I have my rare magic plot, and I have that doing research. So I'm getting, for me, it's a decent amount of research. So I'm hoping that this leads to something good, which he's been talking about a lot lately. So we've got 76.912 minus the tax of 7.691, 69 research. Okay. Okay, we're looking at SPS now. In this region, I only have one plot harvesting SPS. We have 6.812 minus 0.681 equals 6.131 for today. And my totals have been definitely going down a little bit as far as SPS, obviously, when people are jumping on. The interesting thing was I was listening to Aftersound earlier. I usually listen to videos whenever I work out in the morning, and he was quoting some numbers that a little bit less, there's only a little bit less than 10% of land plots up and running at this point. Very interesting. And he was talking about his keep and how it was not making quite as much as what he thought. But obviously down the road, as if you have a castle or keep, it's going to be dependent upon how many people in your region are up and running and have things staked out and are up and running. So as time goes along, I definitely see that keep and castle holders will start getting more and more money, or more and more things coming in, harvestables rather. It surprised me though that only less than 10% are up and running at this point. I figured that if people had land, they'd be jumping on it. Obviously, people are going to probably go towards staking out their larger, more important lands versus small common lands. I have seen that the land has not. It's on a region by region basis, but the regions I've been looking at, the land prices have kind of sunken down a little bit. So one other note I'll leave you with is the fact that let's go ahead and switch over here to Peak Monsters and go to land. I don't know. I keep track of I've always keep the land window open during daily basis. So let's look at, so here we go. We have some building in a box on land. Here's the thing. Building in the box had two things that it granted. Okay, so it granted a power core, and it also granted in 2.0, it gives a availability to do something else with a building to get up and running quicker, right? That still, the details are still, not out there, right? Well, I mean, we can look at starter packages. I happen to have this open, okay? So the building in a box package will, the building in a box package allows a purchaser to begin construction of a level 1 building on a single land plot without having to pay any DEC or other resources which would normally be required to begin construction of a building. This will only be applicable in Phase 2, as Phase 1.5 will not include any building construction. And then you get a free power source. Okay, so we know that. I just wanted to point out this first part. Okay, so if you are going forward, if you are buying a plot of land and it has building in a box on it, you missed the power core. Okay, so beforehand, there was a certain value affixed to that power core. That was 5,000 DEC, because if you don't have that, you have to buy it on your land if you don't have a Rooney, right? So that's gone away. So when LAN 1.5, or immediately before LAN 1.5 went live, they did a drop of the power cores. Everyone with a building in the box, I had 10 LANs and I had 10 building in the boxes, right? So I got dropped 10 power cores, okay? So I could use those on my land. Those are not transferable as far as I know. So basically the takeaway is, if you buy a land with a building in the box on it, you're not getting the power core. You will still get that availability to go ahead and get up and running in LAN 2.0 by building a building without having to pay the associated DEC cost. And that is still a value, that still is an extra value. But there's no value affixed to it currently that we know of. We don't know how much that building's going to cost, right? So I wanted to bring that up, especially when everybody's probably land shopping. I don't know where you stand on that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was this nice new thing, new filter capabilities that they added within Peak Monsters. If you look down here to the, let me move my face over. Okay. That was not so smooth. I'm not used to doing that. Okay, so if you look down in the right corner, you see that obviously we could always, since they've added it, filter by building in a box and unstable totem, but you can now filter by under construction, developed, and work site, and the types of work site. And this is pretty interesting, because I've always, since we started talking about land, I've been interested in how the market, how you're going to sell your land, and what's going to be included on that land. Obviously, things we can look forward to is like, so say I have a plot and I paid to clear it, and paying to clear it cost X. If I want to turn around and resell that plot, I'm going to want to try to recoup that X, whatever X amount is, right? And get some of that back. Now, obviously, depending upon where the land plot is, sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit more if you want to sell off that land. Okay, so that's just one thing. Obviously, going forward, if you've put anything on that land, are there buildings on it? So I'm interested in knowing all these things. Obviously, the buildings are further out. We're looking at 2.0. I probably wouldn't even expect 2.0 in less than 6 months. That's just, he hasn't announced. I don't like them. I'm at the point where I wish they just don't announce any dates, right? But I'm looking forward to this information. Maybe some of this information will be getting in the small chunks of LAN 2.0 white paper that are going to be filtering out as time goes along. But with that said, I think everything's going in the right direction. I'm really enjoying what LAN 1.5 is for what it is. And I think they've got a good solid base. So we can just cross our fingers and go from there. This has been Bronze Dragon on a Friday night. And I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And I will see you on the flip side.